It's Snail, and it's time to look at the best mods of 2025. This video is going to go over every single mod we looked at this year, excluding January and February, because the series started in March. Now, whether this video is background noise as you scroll TikTok in absolute terror, or you're looking for anything that you may have missed this year, don't forget to vote in the comments for your absolute favorite mod. Now, if you're looking for a particular month, make sure you check the chapters because they will all be chaptered out. And without further ado, I hope you enjoy. Let's start with the best of March. And starting with a new settlement location from 10 Hats. Yeah, that's my dog, 10 Hats, let's go, baby. It's the Peabody house. You know, as in Billy Peabody, the kid in the fridge.
I guess I was in there for a really long time.
Now you can sell him off to a slaver when you find him.
Cute kid. Is he for sale?
But if you decide to ventilate Bullet instead and reunite Billy with his parents, then this mod rewards you by giving you access to the workshop at the Peabody house. Now you can build anywhere within a large settlement of the surrounding swampland, and the settlement even includes verticality with a few broken overpasses in the mix. Now I didn't really play with the settlement mod too much, but in true 10 Hats fashion, the family's house is fully repairable, so little Billy doesn't have to get rained on while he sleeps anymore, and the smell of death from my weekly massacres of the nearby gunners doesn't alarm the Peabodys so much. This is a great settlement mod with a lot of building area and a good location. But the worst part of building settlements is putting a bunch of stuff down and then waiting for settlers to file in. If you agree, you're gonna love this next mod, because it's gonna solve that issue by giving us automatically assigned settlers at the push of a button. This is Settlement Populator, and it's my new favorite way to speedrun the settlement building process. This is probably best for folks who are using settlement blueprints or some other sort of quick building mechanic, but it's also great if you just don't want to wait for people to file in from your radio broadcast. To use the mod, you just have to craft the holotape at any chem bench, take it with you to the settlement of your choice, and start building. Make sure to build all of your scavenging stations, trading stalls, sow all your plants, basically anything you could assign a settler to that you want to build, make sure you build those. Next, open the holotape on your Pip-Boy, select from any of the options that are available, and when you're ready, hit spawn. There you have it, settlers in a can, and they are automatically assigned from the moment they appear. With settlement mods out of the way, let's move on to the combat and weapons category. And first up is a new version of an already beloved classic. I'm talking about MAIM Redux. MAIM Redux is a reiteration of the classic MAIM experience. Now what does MAIM do, you might ask? MAIM does to combat what survival mode does to the rest of the game's mechanics. It makes combat far deadlier, introduces debilitating new injuries, and diversifies the medicine pool to deal with those injuries as well. In short, MAIM forces you to engage combat carefully instead of just standing there and tanking bullets from all the nearby raiders. Hell, even turrets are far more deadlier when you have MAIM installed. MAIM is a super rewarding combat experience, partly because it makes headshots and injuries feel so much more consequential. Not just to your enemies though, both outgoing and incoming headshots are absolutely lethal. You could walk up to a random scaver who just found some loot and get your head blown off with a full bar of health and armor and no time to react. The fuck, man? Conversely, you can also engage in a fight with an enemy who has a lot of health, put a few well-placed headshots on them, and they go down like a sack of potatoes. And here's the key, even if you do wear a helmet to mitigate lethal headshots, it only mitigates them. Headshots can still do a lot of damage, if not kill you outright. And on top of that, you still need to worry about the various status effects and whether you have the items to cure them when you're out in the Commonwealth. Honestly, this mod is much better experienced than explained, so just go ahead and try it out if you're unsure. You'll definitely thank me later. I could make an entire video about just this one mod, but that isn't why you're here. If you want that, get this video to 300 likes and I'll make a video all about MAIM just for you. Also, if you're gonna try MAIM out, make sure you use some of these weapons further on the list while you're playing, such as the Mobster Gat Pack. Now, the Mobster Gat Pack includes 3 iconic weapons from the criminal underworld ready to be used in the Commonwealth. All weapons are leveled list integrated, and what that means is that you can find them on vendors and enemies after you reach a certain level. My personal favorite of this bunch is the Uzi, which has some of the cleanest iron sights I have ever seen in Fallout 4. It was truly a treat to play with this thing, and taking it to a workbench reveals a plethora of customization options for those of us who like tinkering with our toys. Of course, the customizations also also apply across the board to the other 2 weapons included as well. And for any of you lore puritans out there, there's also a distinct lack of any over-the-top modern fixtures that many would refer to as tactical. And if you're wondering why I pointed out to lore puritans about this fact, that's because I consider these lore friendly. Here's my reasoning. Seeing as these weapons and their designs are not far from the timeline cutoff, you could comfortably call these vanilla plus. See, weapons usually spend around a decade in development and whatnot, and anyways, sorry, autism talking, but I got it under control. Each weapon is going to feature high quality textures, custom animations, and sounds that'll really bring these things to life. Personally, I had a really hard time taking my eyes off the swinging belt loop on the Uzi. I mean, it just keeps moving from side to side, it's so hypnotic. I also have to take a second to appreciate that not 1 but 2 pistols are included in this bundle. And that's huge because often I feel like pistols are just underloved by weapon modders. Speaking of uncommon weapons, I also really like this next one. This is a degenerate DAC weapon that adds a New Vegas classic into the Fallout 4 weapon list. This is the Laser RCW. This mod hits 2 highly important categories. 1, it's a remake of an iconic weapon from New Vegas, so now New Vegas fans will get at least 1 more toy to use on an NCR veteran themed playthrough. 2, it's a laser weapon, which is super important because just like I said pistols were underloved, laser weapons are even less so. Featuring all the fixings that you'd expect from a degenerate DAC release, you can build the gun into any number of configurations you'd like at a weapons workbench, then you can take it out shooting. Just don't forget to wear your NCR best when you leave the settlement. But if you don't have Ranger armor to wear yet, then we have just the thing for you. This is a high quality NCR Ranger armor set, and you could totally mistake this for having been shipped straight from Shady Sands. The material is beautifully modeled and textured to bring out the right amount of wear and tear to the uniform. It's a faithful HD recreation of the same armor set from New Vegas. In order to get this outfit, all you have to do is go to any chem bench and craft the outfit. Something I really liked about this outfit was that the headlamp on the helmet is actually functional. When you turn your flashlight on while wearing it, instead of the green floodlight, you get an orange spotlight, and that seems perfectly in theme with the rest of the outfit. While the armor boasts really high damages that you would expect from Ranger armor, I will say, even with the armor on and the helmet included, MAIM's damage rebalances were still thoroughly kicking my ass. This meant I had to be really careful when navigating around downtown Boston, where danger could be around any corner. So in response to this, I downloaded the high quality Pip-Boy map, and I started surveying the terrain just to chart a course around the city from point to point. This Pip-Boy map is a huge upgrade from the vanilla map. It shows you the map in 4K and details every building in and around the area. And this is important because the terrain in Fallout 4 is consequential to your gameplay. The map also includes boundary changes made to reflect the true boundary of the Glowing Sea and the Nuka-Cola monorail station. Now this mod is probably perfect for graphics enthusiasts who download high-resolution textures and all that other sort of stuff, so if that's you, this map fills the role very well. Now this next mod is going to fill a completely different kind of hole. Oh, sorry, I meant role. No Player Archetypes is a mod that does some funky back-end stuff with tagging to animate the sole survivor during conversations. Whereas before, the sole survivor wouldn't really move their hands or have many facial expressions during conversation, with no player archetype, that changes in a subtle yet satisfying way. Now your character will move, they'll express, they'll animate with their hands. This mod adds just a little bit more life during conversations that was missing before we had this. I mean, beforehand, you could easily be mistaken that the sole survivor was actually a synth created by Father to replace his other dead parent, since everyone else's cryo chambers went offline after Kellogg came storming into the vault, but that's beside the point. While this mod may not be a massive overhaul of anything, and it doesn't really add a new shiny to the game for us to play with, that's okay. Sometimes great mods are the ones that are subtle yet rich, and this mod definitely slots into both those descriptors really well. It can go a long way for the observant players who are mired deep into a modded playthrough, and the most observant of you might notice that the area you're looking at right now on screen looks a lot like the entrance to Vault 111. Have a cookie, you fat bastard, because you're correct. This is a complete overhaul of the exterior of Vault 111, which again plants itself firmly under fidelity and immersion improvement. See, in the pre-war sequence, there was a lot of people outside Vault 111 begging to be let in. All these people up against the chain link fence going, please, please let me in, oh my god. And there's even a couple on the way up to the fence who are fighting over some luggage and whatnot, as well as a bunch of military guys who are not in power armor when the bombs drop. Now if you look hard enough, you can spot their skeletons all over the place, immortalized around the vault in the last moments before the bombs. As for all the post-war structures and tents, it's safe to say that entry to an underground shelter would have still been an attractive concept to the initial survivors of the Great War, so all the camping and defensive structures make a lot more sense than a completely empty space devoid of any activity. And also, there's a bit of a note to give some lore to the location as well as why all this has been built up, and I will say that the note is short but very effective, and it really puts the cherry on top of the cake for this mod. And if you've seen the bus stop settlement video I made a while back, you'll know I love challenging settlement locations like this one from Zorkaz. It's the Narrow Gorge settlement location. Found next to the Boston Mayoral Shelter and north of Fort Hagen on the west side of the map, this new settlement location gives you a massive build space and an insane build budget to use, but there's a catch. Most of the ground in this settlement is completely uneven, consisting of rocky cliff faces with a pond at the bottom of the ravine. The landscape of this location doesn't really make for easy building, but with just a little effort, you could make this location incredibly scenic. I don't have a lot of time here, so I'm just building the framework for a tiered city out of some platforms and stairs. While I was building, I started to realize just how much fun actually building this settlement out could be. So while building it, I made a mental note to save this for a future video, so stay tuned when I inevitably drop the Narrow Gorge challenge build. Building the tiers was pretty simple, although vanilla snapping leaves a lot to be desired. I don't yet know of a mod that improves snapping, but if you do, let me know in the comments. But now that I've got the basic layout of the tiers going, it's time to build some furniture, and luckily this month gave us a small but mighty entry for furniture objects in the form of HFs New Workshop Furniture Pack. If you're not familiar, HF is a modder who makes a lot of extremely high quality textures and objects for Fallout 4, and this mod is no different from his others. The pack contains some really ornate, well-made furniture that you're sure to find use for in any setting. It consists of 2 stools, 2 chairs, a stylish yet still worn bed, an end table with a very aesthetic cloth over it, and a beautiful common table for your settlers to gather around. These pieces are available in texture sizes ranging from 1K to 4K, but what you're currently seeing is the 2K size to give you a visual of what the middle ground looks like. Ever notice how there's a bunch of games scattered across the Commonwealth in the form of holotapes? Well, Lonnie667 has noticed, and they've decided to put these games in arcade cabinets and make them buildable objects within your settlement. Every game you could play from a holotape is available as an arcade cabinet, and each cabinet comes in a variety of basic colors to best suit your aesthetic needs. These arcade cabinets are fully interactable by the player, so even you can find some time in between harassing the local raiders to play some good old Zeta invaders. Aside from the cabinets, the mod also adds several pieces of decoration to christen your brand new Wasteland Arcade and some non-functional arcade games for your settlers to enjoy. You can interact with these too, but for now there's no minigame attached to them. It would be super cool to see something like that in the future, but for now even this much is pretty great. Now that we've built all this nice stuff, we need to make sure that our defense posture is looking good. So let's use Guard Shacks and Building Additions by Zeke2323, which adds a bunch of lore-friendly additions to the defense section of the settlement menu. These additions also include some very believable guard railings, an assignable sandbag barrier guard post, and a canopy for your vanilla guard posts. I find my favorite part of this mod is the fencing, so I made an excuse to use it a bunch by creating a guard tower on the adjacent cliff. There, all done. A basic guard tower for the settlement to defend itself with. Now, defense is great and all, but sometimes you just need to take the fight to the enemy, and luckily the combat and weapons section has no shortage of fight to offer you. Alright, let's start this section off with a bang. From the same team that brought you the RCW we saw in last month's Best Mods video comes a pack full of great throwables. This is Dak's Explosive Pack. The pack includes 17 brand new throwable weapons. You've got everything you could possibly think of in there, from impact grenades to nail bombs to sticky bombs to throwing axes. There are even, dude, get this, there's even a smoke grenade for what is probably the first time in Fallout 4 mod history. This is exciting. I don't think it's exactly functional, but you know, at least it's a smoke grenade, so I'll take it. This pack blasts open a whole range of new approaches to combat that previously weren't really available, and each grenade is lovingly crafted by the team and made with utmost attention to lore friendliness. Yo, shout out to my boy Pig! Now before you pull the pin on this pack, just remember you obviously can't get too close to enemies when you want to give them a case of the boomies, but it turns out Dak & Co have you covered there as well with the 22 PDW. See where the explosive pack will clear groups of enemies with extreme percussive force? The 22 PD will mop up any of the stragglers in quick succession with its massive ammo reserves, blistering fire rate, and its portability. This thing just peppers whatever you aim it at with bullets. It's quick, it's distinctive, and it's kind of looking at me a little funny. I'm not gonna lie. I'm about to act up, boys. Nope, not now, Snail. It's just plain good. As you can expect from a DAC weapon, it's got a full range of customization options, so if you want to use it as that one weird pistol from Resident Evil Code Veronica X, you totally can. Likewise, if you want a lightweight carbine, you can go that direction as well. Also, given that the ammo is 22 rounds from the munitions mod, it's going to be dirt cheap and it's readily available at any given weapon vendor, which is perfect because you're going to be pouring ammo through this thing like a sieve, and especially at those stupid melee raiders who are trying to bum rush you with a butter knife. Though with this power armor you're about to see, you might never need to worry about getting stabbed ever again. Sorry Brits, I'm actually just talking about in-game, not real life. Best of luck though. So power armor, right guys? It's supposed to make you feel like a walking tank when you use it. It's hefty and it has a lot of damage resistance, but this new suit of power armor from the Proxy God will bring you pretty damn close to looking like a tank too. This is the Dreadnought power armor. It's a Trench Crusade inspired piece of power armor that evokes a strong World War I type imagery. Every time I look at this thing, I can't help but think of the Shock Trooper upgrades from Battlefield 1. It comes with customization options to fit seamlessly with the other power armor offerings, and while the enter and the exit animation is a little jank, that doesn't detract from the suit or its aesthetics at all. Now, while it looks pretty damn close to a walking tank, it needs to be paired with this next mod to complete the whole picture. And instead of telling you, let me just show you why. This is the Colt Mark 40 L45 autocannon. A shoulder-mounted 20mm gun that feels a lot more like a tank weapon than an infantry weapon. It's extremely powerful and completes just about any power armor for that walking tank feeling that power armor is supposed to give you. Direct hits are devastating to even tougher enemies, and the splash damage will take care of any beta orbiters that find themselves surrounding your target. I'm just here because I love my boss. Despite its boisterous power and insane devastation capabilities, it still completely fits within the mold of being lore-friendly, especially due to how ridiculously delightful it is as a concept. It's like having a literal AA gun on your shoulder just shooting off at everything in sight. Nuka World Overboss? Check. Queen Nuka Lurk? Check. Liberty Prime? What? Okay, yeah, check. Oh, wait a second. No, stop the gameplay. Why are there so many bosses here? What gives? Oh, well that would be because we have too many boss enemies installed. This is a mod made by a fellow YouTuber named Natty, and he made this mod for a video on his channel. I suggest you go check it out, it's pretty cool. You ever felt like there wasn't enough boss encounters in your travels? Maybe you just want to get caught lacking by a random nuclear queen or a behemoth? Well, if that's the case, get help. But also, you need to install too many boss enemies, which will replace almost all NPCs with a randomized boss with hilarious results. Turns out, if you get a bunch of bosses in the same cells together, they just start attacking each other for their claim to the territory. See, I started a new game for the footage for this video, and as soon as I left the vault, there was a swan right in front of me. But then that swan started tanking nukes thrown by a nearby Liberty Prime. Now the fight did go on for a while, and the two were trading blows, and I just kinda stood back and was thankful I wasn't involved. But eventually, of course, the communist swan was defeated by the ultra-capitalist Liberty Prime. Fuck yeah, freedom. But then something off-screen killed Prime, and Prime hit the sickest ragdoll I think I've ever seen. And I'm left here just thankful that I was too small for anyone to bother with. That's just one example, but when you use this mod, you'll encounter boss fights literally everywhere you go. If you're a fast traveler, that makes it worse because they tend to spawn pretty close to you. And keep in mind, this mod pulls from a pool of the entire boss enemy list at random, so you never know what you're going to go up against. One thing's for certain though, you're going to need a lot of Stimpaks if you use this mod, and that's where HD Chems project and their exotic Stimpaks are going to come in handy. Because exotic Stimpaks doesn't just give Stimpaks new textures, it also adds a few newer, more powerful healing options in high resolution detail. Brand new to Fallout 4 are the classics like Super Stimpak, Auto Stimpaks, Auto Super Stimpaks, and there's a brand new addition to any Fallout game ever made, and that is the Super Duper Stimpak. I know it's kind of a silly name, but he didn't come up with it, so don't blame him. This Stimpak variant is a real item in the lore, by the way. It's mentioned in an official Interplay newsletter named the Armageddon Rag Volume 4. This This newsletter was to keep players up to date about Interplay's Fallout Online title. Of course, Fallout Online never saw the light of day, and eventually Bethesda secured the rights for an online Fallout, and we ended up getting 76 instead. But it's still super cool that DePolari has brought to life a little piece of what was to be the most powerful Stimpak in existence, and it really is. The healing on these new Stimpaks is really good, by the way. If you check your inventory, you'll be able to see that there are rates ranging from 40% all the way up to 80 for the Super Duper. That is really good, especially if you're going to be playing with some really tough NPCs. Now that we're in the gameplay and immersion section, here's a mod that's probably better if I just show you. So here it is. Scream While Shooting is a simple but very immersive mod from the great BPS 42. It's simple to use. Just pick any gun of your choice, preferably an automatic, configure the amount of time you'd like to shoot before activating the scream, and fire away. If you're a big fan of high-capacity automatics, it really makes you feel like a proper warrior as you're mowing down your enemies and all of a sudden you let out a blood-curdling scream. It pairs really well with the 22 PDW in this list, but even with the autocannon, I found it to be pretty fitting, although I'm not sure if Nate is screaming in bloodlust or in shoulder pain there. There's a number of locations in Fallout 4 that are really just empty of any content. Yeah, they're technically dungeons, but there's nothing to shoot at and there's nothing to loot. Well, Vanilla Locations Plus overhauls these locations to contain a lot more content and a much better reason to visit any of these places. The mod touches 6 vanilla POIs to add new enemies, lore in the form of notes, and balanced loot to each location. Among these changes, there's also a brand new unique Gauss rifle you can find, and the mod is highly compatible, making sure not to break any pre-combines or pre-visibines. Now, stepping into campus offices, I was blown away, quite literally, by how strong the NPC enemies here were. So if you're the type who really likes strong enemies and revamped or brand new dungeons for you to play with, this is the mod you want to get. These locations feel great to play through with all these changes. And as we all know, feeling is important. And especially important is the feeling I get when killing NPCs. I just wish they'd feel something too. It's just strange that they all look so peaceful after how they met their end. Bounce, bounce, and bounce, bounce. Well, now with Fallout Emotions 2, NPCs will wear their emotions on their faces after you put them down with extreme prejudice. Each dead NPC will now reflect the shock, pain, and horror of finding out the hard way why you don't rush a vault dweller with an autocannon. Morbid jokes aside though, this is a good way to breathe a little life into NPCs while you journey through the wasteland. After all, it's pretty hard to argue that there's anything peaceful at all about taking a gravity hammer to the face. GameShark 1444 is a relatively new settlement modder who has a few quality mods under their belt just within the last 3 months. And they're the person we can also thank for the Greater Mass Blood Clinic new settlement mod. This settlement area is fairly big, has a massive build budget, and it has a buildable area that spreads over 2 cells. Now you might want to grab this settlement not just for the possibilities it offers, but because it puts a settlement smack dab in an area that was previously underserved for settlements. The location would offer quick access to just about anything you need to do on the side of the map, while also being a great place for you to dump your junk into a box. Wait, sorry, Freudian slip, my bad. I mean, drop your loot off between scav runs. Yeah, that's definitely what I meant. Don't worry about the other thing. It's plain to see that Tenats has had some influence on this mod as well. Not only can you repair and restore the blood clinic and the nearby building to their pre-war glory, but you can clean up the entire area. And oh boy, if you guys haven't seen my settlement videos, you can check them out in the description, but if you have, you'll know I get a huge dopamine hit off of cleaning these locations exactly like this. The Greater Mass Blood Clinic is no exception to this fact. In fact, I had to go back to get all the building footage for this just because I spent like an hour meticulously cleaning and repairing all of my surroundings. Nevertheless, once I got it cleaned up, it was plain to see that the settlement lends itself really well to a town square type of thing right in the middle of that big open intersection. For now, I just set down a couple pieces since I like to build my settlements organically over time and as needed. However, I'm in the mood to shoot some stuff now since we got a bunch of fantastic weapons this month. Remember a couple months ago when I said, just like I said pistols were underloved, laser weapons are even less so? Well, this month we got a fantastic new addition for you energy weapon enthusiasts. This is the Glock Plasma Defender. This highly customizable energy weapon is based on the Plasma Defender pistol from New Vegas. While it does use the textures from that game's Plasma Defender, the gun itself is a fully new mesh created by Mikolov. Needless to say, this is an excellent addition to any science-centered build. As for the customization, the Plasma Defender can be configured in any number of ways that the base game laser or plasma weapons can be as well. Want a laser shotgun? Alright, a little weird, but I got you, Chief. How about a sniper beam? Yeah, the weapons got you covered there too. Want it to help you find your dad? Sorry, champ. Not even Google can help with that one. More than anything, I think my favorite thing about the weapon is how seamlessly it fits in with other energy options that already exist. It isn't too sci-fi to where it looks like it's from Starfield, and it doesn't look like a tactical gun that just happens to shoot lasers either. If you don't like the reference to Glock, you can always swap the stamp out for a more lore-friendly stamp if you really wish, but I like it, so I kept it. Now, the Plasma Defender is a fantastic weapon, don't get me wrong, but say lasers and plasma aren't really your thing. Well, this next piece is probably going to do it for you instead. This is the 9mm pistol from the team over at Degenerate DAC. Hey, let's go, boys. This is a remake of the same pistol from New Vegas, which itself is modeled after the Browning high-powered pistol. It has all the fixings of a good Degenerate DAC weapon, including a plethora of new attachments for you to mix and match, custom animations, sound effects, has a loading screen as well, and it's even level list injected, so you'll come across enemies using it out in the wasteland when you're adventuring. Sure, there might not be a Benny to shoot you in the face with it, but now you'll get to do all the shooting yourself at least. Personally, I welcome any new addition to the pistol roster, and well really, what can I say? I can't complain about decent stopping power in a reasonable package. But if fully auto is more your speed, then here's the... Wait a second, is this another DAC weapon? Oh god damn, you've heard of golden showers, but I bet you weren't expecting a lead shower, and that's exactly what the 45 machine pistol helps you give your enemies. This degenerate DAC weapon is a wrist breaker of a blaster made with one purpose in mind, to send as many bullets downrange as possible. It's got a custom model, animations and textures, and more customization than you can shake a stick at. This little thing, needless to say, is a lot of fun and definitely does a good job with crowd control. While most DAC weapons use the munitions ammo expansion mod to support new cartridges, this isn't going to need it because 45 is native to the base game anyway. Plus, there's a unique variant that shoots even faster and has a quicker reload speed just so you can keep the lead stream going for longer. Now, these are great weapons, but a good offense is also a good defense. Or maybe it's the other way around. I don't know, whatever. Just look at this power armor, okay? Some of you might feel like this is a familiar design, and you would be right to think that. This is the Space Marine power armor, inspired by the Space Marines from Warhammer 40k. Now let me come clean with you for a second. I've never actually played Warhammer in my life, so the significance of a Space Marine is lost on me in contrast to someone who maybe has more experience with the game, but that doesn't mean I can't appreciate this piece for what it is. Warhammer fans, let me know in the comments how you feel about this one. But moving right along, just like any good piece of power armor, it's as strong a fashion statement as it is in combat. You'll be stomping around the Commonwealth like it's your personal playground, walking through the air, grab dropping yourself on some muties, and having fun with this thing no problem. After installing the mod, you can find this suit of power armor in the Mole Rat Den, just under the Red Rocket Station outside Sanctuary. But a strong armor is best against a strong enemy, like a boss fight or something. Trouble is, bosses in Fallout 4 aren't that tough when you factor in that they're really just big damage sponges. So during Fallout 4's development, BGS had an idea for a massive endgame boss in the middle of the glowing sea. It was supposed to be a really tall ghoul named Maypole, named after the Northern European pagan tradition of inviting some aloof Americans to join your weird fertility cult. But this never happened due to some problems with the game's physics, and we never got the boss. However, the proxy god has made the previously impossible finally possible. Oh shit, I just realized I left the armor behind. Maypole, Raid Boss, and Ghoul Power Armor is a mod that realizes this endgame boss with horrifying effectiveness. Not only is Maypole a towering figure that scrapes along the thick cover of the glowing sea, but he's also just a well-made enemy. After you defeat him, you'll gain access to a sweet suit of Ghoul Power Armor as a reward for taking down the irradiated giant. As for why he's a well-made enemy, well, that's because of how reactive he is to your approach. See, if you get too close, you have to contend with his physical attacks. But if you get too far, he'll start throwing balls of rotting ghouls at you. And if you stay far enough for long enough, you'll eventually have to deal with both Maypole and massive swarms of radiation zombies that seem to only get bigger as time progresses. Now, I did eventually defeat him, however that took a lot of firepower, and thankfully our next recommendation is exactly that, firepower. Coming to you straight from, oh for f***'s sake.
You can't keep getting away with it!
The Flamer Rifle is a more portable version of the base game Flamethrower, and it's based on the Flamethrower from The Last of Us. It's got a range of customization options as expected from just about any DAC weapon, but there is one really cool mod I like on this weapon, and that's the fuel launcher. It takes the Flamer Rifle from vomiting hot napalm all over some raiders to launching flaming balls of death at your enemies from far away. This effectively means that you double or even triple the range you can hit them from, and honestly, there's few things that feel as powerful as long-range fireballs. But to return to why it's helpful against Maypole, in a cheeky callback to its inspiration, the team made a unique variant of the weapon that does 50% more damage to ghouls. That is super helpful for my purposes because when you're going up against this, you'll need all the damage you can squeeze. That isn't all though, because they've snuck another weapon in with a flamethrower, and it's a barbecue fork. And you can mod it in the weapons workbench to give it a little sausage on the end. Now, here's the thing about fire. Everyone knows it's great for two things, spreading some red-hot democracy and killing some insects. And on that note, ticks, right? They're the bane of everyone who lives even remotely near some tall grass and a temperate climate. But ticks are nowhere to be found among the Commonwealth's menagerie of mutants. So what gives? Well, Princess Ares noticed the same thing and decided to fix it by reintroducing the pests to the area with Commonwealth Goremites. Spawning mostly in the southern portions of the map, these new critters feel so natural to the environment and the game world that it's shocking to think that this is part of a mod. They're so well done. I actually didn't realize that I was looking at one until I realized how fast they were moving and how far they could jump. That's just not vanilla insect behavior by any means. These creatures are based on deer ticks and appear in several different varieties, including diseased and glowing. As I mentioned earlier, they spawn mostly in the southern portion of the map, but true to the formidable deer tick of our timeline, these creatures are hard to find. They're usually hiding in tall grass, waiting for the sole survivor or some other unfortunate creature before they pop out and lead a vicious assault. As a side note, it would be neat if the mod was also updated to add a Lyme disease effect, like say you take too much damage from them, you get Lyme disease, but hey, even so, this is still a fantastic addition to the list of things that want to kill you in the Commonwealth, so I'm not complaining. Oh, and I forgot to mention, console players rejoice because this is also available on Xbox. Clothes are important. They keep you warm and safe against the threat of being touched by the dangers of the Commonwealth. No, Mr. Raider, I don't need to experience the joys of tetanus firsthand. Go away, please. This Malkavian understands this perfectly, and that's why they graced us with these new Vault Suit outfits. Vault Survivor is a small mod by the aforementioned author that adds 4 new variants of the Vault Suit you know and love. These suits exhibit various amounts of wear and tear, and their design reflects the names they're given. That isn't all though, these suits are going to make you feel extra special when you put them on because they'll boost a single attribute. Very cool, it's kind of like how New Vegas had a lot of clothing that gave you certain attribute boosts, and this is one thing I've always felt 4 was lacking in. There's the Sexy Vault outfit that gives a +1 boost to charisma, the Lucky outfit that boosts luck, Survivor outfit for endurance, and the Rogue outfit for agility. The outfits also come with optional fishnets that you can make at an armor workbench for the particularly thirsty among you. Finally, as if the suits weren't enough, the mod gives us a cloth hood to complete the look, or a scarf and goggles if head coverings aren't really your thing. It's a very simple and small, but impactful mod that expands your lore-friendly wardrobe. Sometimes simple really is best. Say you are looking to add lots of new outfits with one single mod, then Vault Mashup Redux has you covered. This mod from Valerian 17 fleshes out the Fallout 4 wardrobe with over 30 new armor, clothing, and pieces to outfit your personal murder hobo with. This is obviously a lot of options to choose from, and while I'm not going to show them all in this video, I'm wearing what I settled on being my favorite, which is the Vault Bomber armor that I'm showcasing here. Unlike Vault Survivor, these outfits are heavily armored right from the get-go, so there's no need for fitting individual armor pieces over them. You just visit your local chem bench, create the outfit, wear it, and you're good to go. Fallout 4 has a lot of really good weapon mods. They usually have such great attention to detail, I just always wish there was a way to admire them immersively in-game. Luckily, we can do exactly that now with Weapon Inspect Framework from... what is that? Yeah, I'll just call them Fran. From Fran. This framework already supports several different weapons, including some vanilla weapons with reanimation mods. I'm not gonna lie, I have a shaky grasp of what's going on under the hood here, but here's how I understand it. First, you set a hotkey in the mod configuration menu, then you equip your supported weapon of choice. After pressing the hotkey, the framework is going to try to match your weapon to an inspect rule, where an animation will play showing off the weapon in a super immersive way. Of course, there's a lot more to it than just that, but that's a neat little nutshell of what's happening here. While this helps add some visual flair, you may notice the supported mod list is rather short. Never fear, the mod page actually provides full instructions on how to create framework patches for any weapon you want. I expect to see quite a few more patches for supported weapons into the future, so keep an eye out for those and see when your preferred weapons get added if you're not making any yourself. The very first weapon we're talking about today is one that's oddly befitting of a game where you're tasked with rebuilding America after nuclear annihilation. I've always felt it was a little weird that Fallout 4 doesn't feature any tools as melee weapons, especially when they're probably the most obvious choices. The power drill is here to fill that hole and put some more holes in some raiders. The weapon can be found in leveled lists in the Commonwealth after level 10 and is an automatic melee weapon. Functionally, it's like the Ripper, but instead of being a chainsaw, it's the more innocuous and no less lethal power drill. The drill itself is lovingly crafted by its creators on the Old World add-on project team. It hosts a whole array of customizations at the weapon bench, including several different bits, lighter or heavier drill furniture, and damage add-ons if you want to add some special damage to the mix. Aside from the add-ons, there's also different skins which are more or less lore-friendly. There's also a unique variant named Bob's Revenge. I took some inspiration from this to roleplay a post-apocalyptic construction worker so I could look the part while I put some screws to the Commonwealth's problems. Remember, the chances of getting your day screwed up by a drill are low, but never zero. It might seem shocking at first, but we also got a brand new energy weapon in June. The best part is that the weapon is neither laser nor plasma, it's actually electricity, and the weapon even uses disintegration animations for the kills. This is the Zeus Lightning Gun, a break-action energy weapon that shoots pure electricity. This is probably the most fun I've ever had with energy weapons due strictly to the nature of the weapon. Not to mention, its design is absolutely incredible. The spires at the front give you some sense of where and how this weapon generates its projectile, while the copper wire coils complete the picture. Taking it to the weapons bench reveals that the customization options are fairly thin, but they're at least there, and they make aesthetic changes, so at least there's effort in the presentation. Not to mention, that disintegration effect is so cool to watch. I used this thing for way longer than I thought I would. See, there's absolutely nothing you can't do with a bit of good technology. Now we move on to one of my favorite entries this month. Deep beneath the Commonwealth is a forgotten military bunker, sealed off for the last 200 years. To get there, you need to go to the Kendall Hospital, enter the parking garage, and look for the door in the junk fence. Before you enter, make sure you're prepared for a fight, as this dungeon pulls no punches. Greystone is the name of this new dungeon, and it stands as a feature-complete location from Bailey Men. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but yeah, Bailey Men. The location boasts an interesting design, tough encounters, and requires you to pay attention to your surroundings to progress. For instance, assuming you beat the Assaultrons littered throughout the tight corridors and make it to the bunker area, you'll find a lot of locked doors blocking you off, and from there, the dungeon becomes a game of exploration. The best part about this design choice is that it forces you to take in the reality of the situation for the people who used to live there. There are living quarters, laundry areas, classrooms, a command center, and holy shit, it's a gym with interactables. Aside from pumping some iron, there is lore in this location, which I don't really want to spoil because honestly, it's worth playing. The bunker is filled from top to bottom with loot. You can find all sorts of junk you'll need for your crafting endeavors. Meanwhile, there's also some unique items like a legendary laser gatling, 3 pieces of power armor, and some ballistic weave Mark V mods, super helpful for those of us who don't care about the railroad. This isn't the only new interior this month, as we did get another, albeit much shorter, but no less exciting interior to explore. The author, named Office Test, created a premise for this mod that's fairly simple. What if I take 100 dudes and make them fight in a sealed room with one gorilla? And the end result of this experiment in simian to human relations is nothing short of hilarious. Playing through this mod is fairly simple. You go to this door, once you get inside, you can see a gorilla taking vengeance for Harambe against 100 different dudes, and if you really feel like it, you can go through this tunnel on the side and end up on the inside of the cage fight and get involved yourself. Once you defeat the massive mob, you get some grenades that spawn gorillas whenever you want to drop an extremely violent ape on an enemy. They're not particularly strong apes, but the fact that we have a summoning option in Fallout 4, even if it's just gorillas, is too good to pass up. So I definitely got involved in the fight, but I decided to use something special to expedite the match. It's named My First Weapon Mod, and it's actually from a member of our community by the name of Cheez-It-Boy45. It's literally just a minigun that shoots rockets. Once you pick the weapon up in Sanctuary, it's time to take it to someone who really deserves the firepower. And that's really all there is to it. It helps you make your best impression of an AC-130 when you hit the TCL command, so you can fly around and bomb your enemies from the sky with extreme prejudice. You ever build a settlement but then realize there's no lighting options that really set a mood? I mean, you only got two moods really, salvage lighting bulbs and industrial lighting. Sometimes looking for the right lighting can have you feeling kind of like,
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Well, our first mod today is going to bring some light into your life. HFs Workshop Vintage Candles brings us 3 new candles that you can build in your settlements. They're great for lighting up ornate spaces like this dining patio I built, or this sacrificial chamber for my Giddy Up Buttercup cult, or that memorial I set up for Preston after the incident happened. God, I just miss him so much. No matter where you decide to build these, you'll probably find an option that works though, since they all serve to fill a different space. My favorite thing about these candles is how they're so highly detailed despite being really small items. These candles are practically begging to be paired with a high-res texture mod like Flaccon Oil's Retexture. Anyways, there isn't really much I can say for these that they don't already say by themselves. Download them and I'm sure you'll find somewhere to use them, guaranteed. Now that's not all we got for settlement objects, although the next one isn't really exclusive to settlements. Commonwealth Weaponry Vending Machines is the name of this next mod, and it gives us some really nice vending machines that do this. Charging laser sniper rifle, cool. That's right, it's a whole ass slot machine but for weapons. Now the idea is very simple. You press button, you get a random pull out of a pool of items. Besides being a buildable item in your settlements, there are also a number of machines placed throughout the game world, meaning it's totally possible for you to do some sort of gambling challenge with these. I didn't quite do a gambling run myself, but I wanted to really get a feel for these machines and what they give you, so I made up my own challenge. I was going to spin the slots, let's roll, see what we get, use whatever the machine gave me, I got a short radium rifle, and try to kill the swan with it. Hello, Mr. Swan, time to wake up. Oh, I am so fucked. Oh, gee. It kind of took quite a few spins to get there, and I learned the hard way that hitting too many spins on the machines causes a gambling addiction. You have become addicted to gambling. At one point, I even discovered that you can actually glitch the swan into the shelter of Park Street Station with hilarious results. Oh god! It wasn't really a fair fight though, so I went again until I got him without having to glitch him at all. Let me know if you want to see the full video. Yes! Oh, we did it! It was a lot of fun to play, and it'll probably be fun to watch too. God, I love me some good body shots. In closing, the Commonwealth Weaponry Vending Machines are a fantastic randomizer. The gambling addiction gives you a considerable debuff to luck, and true to gambling form, you might not even get a good weapon, a short pipe bolt action rifle, or a weapon at all. I got a Brahmin skull? You just gotta play the numbers and hope for good spins. Now speaking of spins, Revolvers of the Wasteland is a weapon pack that adds 4 distinct weapon frames and dozens of variations possible from those frames and their respective attachments. This might seem a little confusing, so let me break it down for you, pimp. So basically each of the 4 weapon frames is a revolver model on its own, but every frame has a unique tree of attachments that can be mixed and matched together, or even attached intentionally to match a variant, or even a completely different revolver. Yes, the single action army uses a speed loading cylinder, but this isn't a problem since the first speed loader was invented in 1879 and the single action... Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, they're really cool. And this skeleton framework approach makes any revolver you choose to create feel totally unique. As for what the 4 basic skeletons are, you have the hunting revolver, the wasteland revolver, the top break revolver, and the
Single action army.
Each piece fills a different role or aesthetic, and you can make each one as cursed as you'd like when you visit the weapon bench. My favorite in particular was the single action army because it gives major revolver ocelot energy. It's kinda on parity with how Scream while shooting gives massive snake energy.
The tunnel snakes.
No, shut up, Butch, your mom's dead. She's dead. I'm talking about this guy. I know we covered this mod a couple months back, but trust me, we're going somewhere with this, okay? It's become one of my favorite mods since I found it because it just oozes machismo that truly feels at home with cleaning up Boston's streets. Well, Dak actually blessed us with the perfect weapon to pair this mod with in the light machine gun. The light machine gun is a brand new LMG based on the LMG from New Vegas. In fact, it's so close that you can build it out on a weapons workbench to look like it was shipped straight from the Mojave. Although if you'd rather get creative, the weapon boasts over 45 attachments you can fit it with. It also has a heating barrel animation. Oh, the barrel glows when it gets hot. That's so cool. Custom animations and even custom super mutant animations. To pair it with a super mutant boss you can get a unique LMG from. Remember in Fallout 1 when super mutants used to shred you to pieces during combat? Well, they can finally do it again in Fallout 4 with this LMG. Aside from war crimes in the Boston area, the mod also gives you some other cool new things to build, including a couple new LMG turrets for your settlements. For almost a decade, modders have been trying to do something about the flashlight situation in Fallout 4. Yeah, we do have a functioning flashlight, but it's more of an emissive glow than a traditional beam, which can get pretty rough if you're using a Darker Nights mod, which is why I'm putting Magnite Functional Flashlight on the list. Magnite adds a flashlight that's balanced as an early game utility weapon. All right, I'm gonna use the flashlight. No, don't kill me. Oh, I made it. You can turn the flashlight on. You can bash some heads with it. Then you can turn it off once the voices in your head go quiet. It's really that simple of a weapon. Its textures are highly detailed and it has a bunch of options at the workbench if you want to customize the light. Ooh, there's a Vault-Tec skin. Hell yeah, I'm taking it. Every consideration from color temperature of the light, its construction, all the way to the width of the beam has been taken into account here, making for one of my favorite new melee weapons of all time. You'll also find this weapon on enemies from a fairly low level, meaning you can just pick this thing up really early and start bringing some light into this dark world. Egg Shooter, Be a Summoner gives you a 10mm pistol that shoots Mirelurk eggs that on contact hatch to release oversized Mirelurk hatchlings. These hatchlings immediately start looking for smoke from the nearest living being, even if that's you. That being said, it's important to keep a distance from whatever the intended target is so you don't get consumed by your own weapons. Just for fun, I decided to take these little guys swan hunting with me to see what happens when a violent giant meets a dozen tiny terrors. The results are pretty funny, but not totally practical. So hitting him with the eggs just makes him ragdoll, which is fucking hilarious. Still, this is a goofy little mod you should absolutely try out if you ever wanted to be a summoner in the Wasteland, and if you want to watch me be a summoner in the Wasteland, let me know in the comments. Finally, the last mod on this list, we got seriously spoiled with an incredible quest mod from the team at Kingath. That's the same team who made Sim Settlements 2 and the recent Starfield Watchtower DLC. Or is it a mod? I don't know, I haven't played Starfield since launch, whatever. But anyway, Transmission Zeta is a quest mod that takes you places, shows you some new things you've never seen in Fallout 4, and feels so effortlessly integrated within the game world that it's like you're playing a vanilla quest. Everything about the mod is lovingly crafted, from the story to the voice acting to the brand new weapons you can get when finishing the quest and the houseboat player home you inherit during your playthrough. I'm not going to tell you how you inherit it because that would spoil the story. And believe me, I really don't want to spoil what it's about, but I'll give you a quick rundown of what's going on here. The sole survivor gets a call for help from a nearby man named Clark. Clark is a raving mad conspiracy theorist.
Put on a red dress. No one can resist whatever you say. And it's like you're hypnotized. Up comes Preston Garvey, slinking up in an evening dress.
I mean, like, off his fucking rocker. Who's making a very bold claim that some eerie music has been kidnapping people wearing Pip-Boys. And hey, look at that, we're wearing a Pip-Boy ourselves. Therefore, he sends you to meet up with his mildly slimy acquaintance, Arlen, and the two of you indulge Clark on a quest to get to the bottom of the music. I honestly didn't see where this quest was going at all, and every time I thought I had the story figured out, it threw a wrench directly into the Metal Gears, I'm so sorry, of any theory I was crafting in my head while I was playing. And I want to briefly touch on the weapon that you get. At least the one that I noticed was the alien shotgun, which I didn't think was something anyone had ever thought of before, but it's really cool actually. It's a completely custom weapon, as expected from Kingath, and it looks amazing. I mean, look at this reload animation. God damn, that is smooth. The experience overall was great. I loved it. I would recommend it to anyone who enjoys playing quest mods. It includes some really awesome set pieces that I never thought I would see in Fallout 4. And I think it goes without saying that I'm naming Transmission Zeta the best mod of July. Well done, Kingath. You guys made something really special with this one. So this is normally the section where I go over some decision making and then reveal the best mod, but since I already gave it away, I want to mention some mods that I didn't get a chance to try. Some of you may not know this, but I don't have a whole lot of time in my day since I have a full-time job and a whole bunch of other commitments I have to attend to. I normally only have time to play what piques my interest, and I just kind of run with that. I won't call them runner-ups because that's not really accurate, but instead let's consider them in a category titled You Should Also Try These. The first entry here is Project Nemean, which is by Princess Aries, the same author who made Commonwealth Goremites a couple months ago. Project Nemean adds 3 new terrifying mutants to the Wasteland, all of them feeling distinctly different from one another. Everything is custom made from my understanding as well, including the audio, which I thought was very admirable. The second entry is Visitors, a mod that dynamically creates visitors to your settlements. It's sort of like a super lightweight alternative to the visitors in Sim Settlements 2 or NPC's Travel, whichever one you've used. If the mod page is anything to go by, this mod is going to add a lot of different visitors coming to your settlement, so check this one out too. What? Who's calling me? What?
Nico, it's Roman. Let's go bowling.
Fine. Our very first mod is a wonderful settlement mod that gives us some really fun objects that we can build. Bowling from Itchy Treasure Sack adds 5 bowling lanes. Bowling lane for dummies, look at that, that's funny. 8 balls. Why is this so f***ing big? Buildable and knockable pin sets, and a few different decorations to really sell the bowling alley image. That is neat as hell, guys, look at that. Did you know, just like this bowling setup in DB Technical High, there are a number of unmarked locations related to bowling in Fallout 4. If you didn't, now you do, and the cool thing about having buildable bowling stuff is that now I can play bowling whenever I feel like it, and I don't have to shoot my way through some squatters to do it. God damn it. Anyways, here's how to use the mod. Once you set down your lanes, build your bowling pins, remember to build one of the bowling balls nearby, hold A or E if you're on keyboard to hold the ball, line yourself up, and toss away with the R or the X button if you're on controller. After you knock down some pins, you can easily reset it by picking up the pins or scrapping them and rebuilding the pins in place. It was a lot of fun to get creative with the objects, and of course Preston was nearby, so I got curious and I just had to test something on him really quick. Can I use a bowling ball to murder Preston Garvey? Let's find out. Come here, Preston. No, I cannot. That is sad. Chemcooker's Redux is our next mod up, and it does something really special. It'll let you play Schedule 1 in Fallout 4 as you put your settlements to work for you in the chem trade. It adds 7 new production benches for different chems and 5 new planters to grow the base ingredients for those chems. Earlier this year, I played a lot of Schedule 1, so the fact that I can now play Schedule 1 from the comfort of the Commonwealth is exciting to say the least, and you know what? It actually plays pretty much the same with this mod. For example, in Schedule 1, the typical gameplay loop goes like this. First, you get or grow the raw materials to make your drugs. Next, you take those materials to a workbench that makes the raw product. Finally, you take that product and package it, then it's ready for distribution or sale. However, once you get a couple employees and some dealers, the process is pretty much as automated as can be, and all you have to do is collect the money and launder it. In Fallout 4 with Chemcooker's Redux, you are starting an automated chem production facility from day 1. You assign your settlers to a raw material station, then assign some more settlers to the production benches, and every 24 in-game hours, you'll receive an amount of product in the workbench container, which you can then sell to just about anyone in the Commonwealth. I'm just, contributing to the water purification efforts. Mods like this really feel like the final missing piece in the settlement puzzle. In the base game, you go from sustenance farming to growing your settlement population, but the next logical step to industry is never quite made, even with the workshop stuff you can get as DLC. I also realized something critical while I use this mod. I can just have an entire settlement dedicated to growing just 1 or 2 ingredients, and then send those to another settlement with caravans for production. So now, I don't just have a single settlement producing chems, I have an entire network of chem production working around the clock to line my pockets and serve the good junkies of the Commonwealth. But just like any good chem dealer does, remember, you have to follow the 10 jet commandments and keep that motherfucking thing on you, pimp. On which note, here are some things you should be keeping on you. First up is the grenade launcher from Elixirator, which adds the China Lake grenade launcher as seen in Fallout New Vegas. The China Lake is a tube-fed pump-action grenade launcher that mixes the joy of explosions with a small package and the wonderful tactile sensation of jacking it. It's very simple to use. Just whip it out and jack the pump for continuous explosive payloads delivered directly to the forehead. Make sure the homies don't get too close while you're doing it, or they're liable to catch some friendly fire. Though it's a pretty fun weapon in its default state, this thing really shines when you take it to a weapon bench because you can give it nuke rounds that lend you all the power of a fat man with almost none of the drawbacks. Is that balanced? No, not at all. But you know what? Sometimes balance can get perfect, especially when I'm having this much fun. Also of note, there is a separate version of the grenade launcher which fires whatever this is, called the Hollow Rifle. It's really cool and I ended up using it for quite a bit, but overall I thought the nuker rounds were a lot more impactful to my gameplay. Going from explosions to, well, as far as you can get from explosions, really. The WA2000 by Degenerate DAC is a semi-automatic sniper that's both lore-friendly and easy to use. I cover a DAC weapon every video, so you already know what to expect. A good amount of customization. Guys, look at those bullets. Dude, that's drippy as fuck. A well-balanced weapon that fits well in many lists, and a unique variant, very, very cool, are all present in this weapon mod. The unique is cool because it's even branded with Commonwealth Weaponry's logo, and of course, this weapon is properly level list integrated, so enemies can use it too. Having a semi-auto sniper was cool because it meant there was a lot of forgiveness in taking shots. Firstly, this thing can absolutely rip through enemies if you have it maxed out. Secondly, it has a pretty good handling, which also meant that I could quickscope NPCs up close and personally with little consequence. So, going from an ultra-precise pinpoint lethality to something a lot less refined, the Miss Launcher is a new mod for the missile launcher. It's presumably named the Miss Launcher because it'll miss whatever you're aiming at and crap out a time-delayed rocket at your feet instead. The mod adds a modification at the weapons bench that takes the weapon from being a boring, functional explosion tube to a fun and mildly terrifying slingshot with extra steps. Now, you might ask yourself, why would you want this? I mean, it's pretty much antithetical to what a missile launcher is supposed to be. Well, while you'd be right to question it, there are several reasons to use it. First off, it's fun. If you give the launcher a quad barrel and use a power armor with a jetpack, you effectively become a bomber plane with legs, giving you the ability to carpet bomb POIs before engaging on the ground. You already know how much I like cosplaying my warplanes, so there's that. Please sponsor me, War Thunder. Secondly, these rockets don't explode on contact, meaning they can bounce off corners and walls if you're ever in a tense firefight. Third, because it's cool. Wait, did I already say that? No, I said it was fun. It's fun and cool, but I understand, it's pretty big. So if you prefer to have something smaller and more true to life in your hands, then you probably want that gun. Which gun? This one! A little backstory first. In the original Fallout RPG from Black Isle Studios, there's a quest you can take in the hub where you help a character named Irwin. Irwin's been having some problems with raiders on his farm, and this is where you come in. You offer to help, he takes you up on that offer and takes you to the farm. Once you finish evicting the squatters, you return to Irwin where he gives you the 223 pistol, a weapon so powerful that if you shoot your opponent in the dick, the rest of their body explodes in violent gore. It would go on to appear again in Fallout 2 and New Vegas, each time as an equally rare and powerful weapon, with New Vegas introducing a unique variant called That Gun. If you think it looks familiar, that's because it's a direct remodeling of the pistol used by Deckard in the movie Blade Runner, right down to the LEDs and the double triggers. Cool, right? Well, That Gun of the Wasteland is a mod that adds the titular weapon to Fallout 4 and makes good use of its heritage. Attachments in the workbench include callbacks and names from Blade Runner, although there's no shortage of vanilla-friendly attachments present as well. It also includes an array of skins, which I thought was pretty cool. I personally wish weapon skin mods were more of a thing, but since they aren't, I'll take them where I can get them. Now, I took one and I built it out to Blade Runner spec, put on a trench coat, and went to visit Covenant. Here's another thing you may not know. The interview you have to give to enter Covenant is another Blade Runner reference, even if the test itself is actually just the GOAT exam from Fallout 3. Anyways, I thought if anyone would appreciate it, it would be the test giver in Covenant, so I showed it to him. Yeah, I don't think he liked it very much. Oh, actually, this is a good time to talk about this drip. I got the trench coat from our next mod, the Vintage Revolver from Degenerate DAC. The Vintage Revolver is a recreation of a Smith & Wesson Schofield revolver. It's been a year in the making, from meshes and textures to the beautiful animations that come with it. The revolver was meant to accompany DAC's Vintage Repeater, which was released a while ago, but even on its own, it's a great addition to the game. Coming with all the standard DAC fare of customizations and level listing, my personal favorite way to use this was actually the unique variant. I mean, look at it. It's a nice gun, I'll give him that. And although the engravings give you no tactical advantage whatsoever, you do get to pull off some fancy shooting with it. Just in case you couldn't tell, I loved shooting with this thing. It can also get stupid powerful in the workbench, and if you've seen my previous best of month videos, you'll know that I always love a new spinny gun. It's gonna be really, really hard to top the Revolt. Wait, what the f is that thing?
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Utility Shotgun is the next mod, and it adds an over-under double barrel shotgun to the game. As if it wasn't enough to just have a good reason to use my immense stock of shotgun shells, this shotgun is effectively like 5 different weapons in a trench coat. With extreme customizability, you can outfit this shotgun to fit any scenario, anywhere, and at any time. Beyond just its utility though, it's got some beautiful animations and sounds that just feel so right. While the utility shotgun really lives up to its name in being able to do anything, there's sadly one thing that it can't do. It can't block incoming melee attacks, since you'd need to use a melee weapon to do that. Now, you might be thinking, but Snail, why would I use melee weapons when shooting feels so much better? After all, this isn't Dark Souls, it's not like I can roll or parry as the ugliest character I've ever seen. Well, that's where you're wrong, kiddo. Souls-like Parry is a script extender mod that adds a parrying function to the game's melee combat. Now, to pull this parry off is not difficult at all. When you receive a melee strike from an enemy, the message box in the top left will tell you if you successfully blocked or didn't block a hit. If you time your block right, the blocked message will display and one of two things will happen. If your target is wielding a weapon while they bash you, this block will disarm them, where they'll default to a round of good old fisticuffs. If you parry the next block, you can counterattack to send them flying backwards a few feet. Now this may seem underwhelming to some of you, but I can't overstate just how good it felt to play melee and actually enjoy it. See, for a long time, I felt like Fallout 4's melee combat was sort of underbaked, and so I've always just defaulted to using guns as a result. This mod didn't just make melee more fun, it literally changed how I play Fallout 4. I have never fist fought a synth before, but on God, I have never had so much fun going 12 rounds with a piece of metal. The synth had me on the back foot with his gun, but I approached. I forced him to drop it, and he said, "Nah, you know what? You can catch these hands instead." I obliged him, of course. I mean, I was gonna show him who the boss of this gym was. We traded blows back and forth for a bit, a left hook here, a right hook there, until finally, man triumphed over machine, and his clock stopped ticking. I later tested this mod against some of the larger enemies in the game. I approached the Swan with some seriously silly intent. Turns out, you can parry his attacks and counterattack him for hilarious effect when using the gravity hammer. The same is also true of Deathclaws and Yao Guais, making for some of the funniest combat I've ever had the pleasure of playing. No combat for you, Mr. Claw. Unfortunately, this did not extend to the Mirelurk Queen. Although I could parry her attacks, I could not knock her into the air. But thankfully, regular Mirelurks were getting ragdolled left and right with absolutely no problem. So those are the entries for the best of August, all pretty good entries indeed. Although, before we get to the winner, I'm going to do the same thing I did last video, and we're going to go over some runner-ups and some mods I didn't get a chance to cover. Starting with, Hotel of Destruction was a silly little dungeon mod that adds a squatter's den full of chem addicts within the town of Concord. The best part of this was the squatters are not necessarily hostile, you have to instigate the hostilities yourself, which of course I ended up doing after I realized that they had an in-house chem dealer. Institute Power Armor Coating is an aesthetic mod that gives all 4 main power armor suits a new coat of paint inspired by the Institute. The colors, while simple, are great, and the paint job itself adds some benefits as well, including a buff to intelligence and additional energy resistance. Alright, and with those out of the way, we need to pick a winner. The best mod for the month of August is Souls-like Parry. This mod was a small, unassuming pile of script that I really didn't expect much from, but it ended up changing how I played Fallout 4 for the entire time I had it installed. Hopefully we see a little more love thrown towards the melee combat system in the future, because I think fleshing it out will help the play options feel a lot more balanced. Anyway, settlement building is fun, but managing settlers can be a real hassle.
Hey Sturgis, you willing to do some work?
Like for example, say I want to set some uniforms for my settlers, well that means undertaking the arduous task of acquiring as many of a single outfit as I can, chasing down every settler I can find, and forcing them to play dress up like they're on the Newgrounds adult game section. I mean sure, you can always just bring the settlers to you by using a bell, thus eliminating having to find them, but that only removes one step from the process. Settlement Outfitters is a new mod that greatly simplifies coordinating your settlement outfits. Here's how it works. You build an armor display or the mod provided hologram in your settlement, and you'll notice that it has a new interaction button for outfitters. You hit that button and create a new outfit. Add whatever clothing it is that you'd like your settlers to wear, equip the items onto the mannequin, and then assign this outfit to a job. Now save, and your settlers will be automatically dressed in their assigned clothing and armor. This is a massive quality of life change that makes managing your settlement so much easier, one that I think any post-nuclear city planner should definitely employ. As any good builder knows, settlement defense is pretty important. Recently, I had a light infestation of 20 Deathclaws at Sanctuary, so I know. Don't ask me how they got there, that's not important. But this is exactly where good defense comes in handy, and where the new machine gun emplacement mod shines the brightest. This brand new turret mod from Salaki gives us these heavy-duty, high-caliber freedom dispensers that are loosely based on the T-77 MGMC vehicle. I wanted to test the turret's time to kill, so I spawned in 3 Deathclaws and... Wait, what the f***? They're dead. Okay, let me spawn in, I don't know, 10, let's say. Wow, holy shit. This turret produces absolute carnage. For fun, I doubled the number of Deathclaws and spawned in another 20. It took about twice as long to kill them this time, but doubling up on something tends to do that, so that's not really a surprise. Obviously, I was pretty impressed, and I wanted to compare these with the vanilla game turrets, so I replaced them with 4 of the strongest vanilla game turrets available, and spawned in a decently high number of Deathclaws. Alright, let's see how these things actually do. These vanilla turrets simply could not compete when faced with that many Deathclaws. Before they even had a chance to do any real damage, the Deathclaws would just break the turrets, therefore rendering them unable to fire. This led to a 10-minute cleanup operation where I exposed myself to significant risk. Just kidding. I turned on God mode and got to work. Here's a fun side note. When the Deathclaws would break the turrets, the physics would send them flying into the air. I'm not sure why it does this, but it was pretty funny to watch, so I may have repaired the turrets a few times for my own amusement. This turret's not part of the package, although it's also pretty neat. This is actually from our first weapon mod of the video. Returning from the Mojave in New Vegas to spray and pray its way around the Commonwealth is the 12.7mm SMG. It's a punchy new SMG that comes from Degenerate DAC. As with all DAC weapons, it's a highly customizable gun, although in New Vegas it previously only had the silencer attachment. But the cool thing is that DAC made a whole host of new fixtures for this weapon, including all the attention to balancing. Balance can get not now, past snail, that we've come to expect from just about any DAC weapon. Of particular interest to me was building 3 different variants and testing them out. First was a long-range build, then a regular SMG, and one that was optimized for up-close and personal engagements. They all performed pretty well, but you're gonna want to keep an eye on your ammo count since the mag size is fairly small, and this thing kicks like a mule on several doses of Psycho. Yeah, the damage output is really high for an SMG, but you'll be reloading with great frequency if you can't hit your shots. It's me, by the way, I can't hit my shots to save my life. It can be found on Gunners, Brotherhood of Steel, and vendors after level 36, and as always, it fits naturally within the vanilla game since it's already a canon weapon in the franchise, so it'll pair perfectly with the rest of the vanilla roster. If you still have to work your way to level 36 though, then you should probably just use the vanilla rifles instead, especially since we got some sweet reanimations for them this month. Vanilla Reanimation Project Rifles modernizes the vanilla rifles by giving them brand new reload animations. These animations are a huge improvement on the base animations, and even the animations that haven't changed a whole lot have a much more natural feeling application. Now keep your eye on the screen because I'm going to be comparing them side by side as I talk, but here goes. The weapons that this mod changes are the hunting rifle, the radium rifle, the railway rifle. It's not much of a change, but the movement feels a little more natural at least. The double barrel shotgun, hell yeah, I finally want to use this thing, fuck. The Gauss rifle, and the lever action rifle. I gotta say, after 10 years of watching the same reloads, you get kinda bored with the same old animations playing endlessly, kill after kill after kill. So these new animations may seem small, but they go a long way for at least providing some new visuals to look at while you clean house. As the kids and Martin Scorsese both say, it's absolute cinema. And if the sparkly new reloads aren't enough to convince you, then there are new unholster animations for the hunting rifle, lever action rifle, and double barrel shotgun. When used with other mods like Uneducated Shooter, these animations complete a bigger picture of taking Fallout 4's combat from feeling dated to something approaching a modern combat system. The melee combat system needs a similar updating, and that's why last month's Souls Like Parry won Best Mod of the Month. If you need a weapon to use it with, here's an excellent sword, also from Degenerate DAC. You ever notice that the Brotherhood of Steel don't really carry melee weapons? Like, they carry everything else under the sun: assault rifles, laser rifles, plasma rifles, Gatling guns of different varieties,
varieties, but never a melee weapon. But in September, we got an excellent alternative in the form of the Paladin Sword, a Brotherhood of Steel melee weapon. As the name suggests, this weapon was made for Brotherhood Paladins and has been designed with damage potential and power suits in mind. Not only does it look great when paired with a suit of power armor, but it carries a range of attachments that affects both what sort of damage it does and makes a major change to the sword's aesthetic. Look at this. This is a fucking lightning sword. How are you gonna tell me this isn't cool? Like, have you never played Sekiro? Lightning and swords go together like peanut butter and sardines. Not just electricity damage though, you can also get variants that do fire damage and some excellent looking energy swords if you want to go a little more sci-fi. Now because of its lore, it's exclusive to Brotherhood of Steel vendors, and you can get your very own sword after completing the quest that makes you a paladin in the BOS. Given its origins, it wouldn't make a lot of sense for it to be found elsewhere, so this is pretty much only going to be used during a Brotherhood of Steel run. Me, however, I'm a dirty cheater, so I just used the ESP Explorer and cheated the sword in. And don't tell Dance, but it goes great with a bit of jet. The time dilation effect that using jet provides is one of my favorite effects in the game. You can whip it out in the middle of a fight and gain a sudden speed advantage over your enemies. There's also a mod by the name of VAPS that takes this time dilation effect and powers it with your ability points, working it into the game as a replacement for VATS. Well, no matter how you use it, time dilation in Fallout 4 just got better. No Slowdown is a mod that removes the slowdown experienced by the player during jet or bullet time or VAFs, all while keeping your enemies impotent against your attacks by keeping them slow. My favorite way to use this was with the Paladin Sword, since I could get up close and go around performing pro bono amputations. So this is the best mods of September, but you're watching this in October, so you probably want something spooky to fall in line with the season. Imagine a dungeon in the middle of the Commonwealth, where Vault-Tec paired up with one of the sketchiest companies in the game universe to build a vault experiment that was not only horribly dystopian, but extremely creepy and unsettling on a fundamental existential level.
To Vault 117 Quarantine Facility.
This mod dungeon is a perfect mix of horror and action elements. Although the two elements sort of exist separate to one another, it's kind of hard to describe, but in my opinion, it's best if you go in with fewer details anyway. For that purpose, I'm going to try not to spoil too much. I went into this dungeon almost completely blind, and I have to say I was pleasantly surprised with the outcome. Oh my god, what the fuck? Just a quick note, bring a flashlight like the Magnite that we covered in July's video. You'll see why in a second. To get to Vault 117, you'll have to go to Jamaica Plain and look for the billboard on the northern edge of town. Once you get there, climb up to the cliff that the billboard sits on and look for the little hatch situated right underneath the billboard. Flashlight in hand, get inside the hatch, and once you're in there, you'll notice immediately that it's quite dark. Whoever was here hasn't been here for quite some time, which is a fact that gets confirmed when you go down the elevator and find a lore note sitting beside a terminal. As you progress through the vault, you'll notice that this isn't quite like any vault you've ever seen, whether vanilla or modded, and it's up to you to discover what happened here. Why is this vault empty, and why are there so many mannequins dressed in vault suits hanging around? Like I was saying, the story of this vault is exclusively told through notes and the environment, so keeping your eyes peeled is important as you explore and avoid the danger chasing you.
Take the Stimpak. Oh god, here she comes.
I will elaborate as lightly as possible.
Ghost, oh my god, she's flickering.
Basically, the entire first half of the mod is a game of cat and mouse between you and an enemy that you cannot effectively fight by any means, so your only option is to run. Thankfully, a lot of the dungeon is actually designed to be beneficial to you running away, so I engaged a little bit of my former Dead by Daylight prowess and did my best to stay out of harm's way.
God, my Dead by Daylight days are coming in handy for this.
Beyond that, I can't really say too much more about the enemy, but hopefully that conveys a little bit of what you'd be up against in the first half.
Dirty laundry basket. Holy shit.
Now this first half closes off with a few very impressive set pieces that put you on edge.
What the fuck? What the fuck is this? Thank God I found the barber's office.
But it does eventually give way to a second half that manages to somehow up the ante on the horror by bringing twisted monsters into the fight. The environments and the enemies themselves really remind me of Doom in a way. They have this arena shooter feel that can really only be found in one of the classic boomer shooters, but it still feels distinctly Fallout in an impactful way. Again, I don't want to go ruining anything, but just trust me, play this mod, you won't be disappointed, okay? Those are the entries for the best of September. Take a moment to comment down below with which one you're going to try out. Meanwhile, I'm going to go over the runner-up for September. Insanity is a new mod that adds a mental health management system to Fallout 4. This mod is in alpha right now, which doesn't mean you should wait because it still lays out a lot of the foundational groundwork that this mod would bring to the game. Basically, in a nutshell, the mod adds a sanity stat that gets tracked in the background, and you can check this stat with a diary item that can be crafted at the chemistry bench. This stat will decrease a little bit for every human you kill, every chem you take, and even if you eat certain foods. I wanted to see how far into the negatives I could actually get, so I did what any sane, rational person would do, and I built a concrete box and locked myself in it with 50 raiders. Just as Todd intended. After emancipating them from existence, I reached negative 100 sanity and developed depression, and then I checked my Pip-Boy and realized my character had depression too. Another 50 raiders later, and negative 200 sanity gave me PTSD. Then negative 300 sanity gives amnesia, and finally schizophrenia at negative 400. The box full of raiders was good therapy though, so I just kinda kept going, until I got pulled into a dungeon against my own will. Now this particular dungeon is a hub, and this hub leads to 9 different levels where you have to literally fight your demons in order to escape, and the levels themselves are actually pretty fun to explore. Every level requires you to find a door, find a key, and then go unlock the next level in the index room. But saying that doesn't really do the experience justice, since there's a lot of atmosphere that you can soak up along the way, so it's just better overall if you experience it. So the best mod of the month for September 2025 is gonna be Vault 117. This dungeon was unexpected. I think the combination of a lack of a clear objective, good dungeon design, the cat and mouse gameplay, and the intriguing premise made for a very effective horror experience in the first half. Bro, it's like 1 in the morning, what am I doing? The second half was also very good. Very impressive action gameplay with some extremely grotesque new enemies. These enemy names will make sense once you play the mod, trust me. And an open arena design make for an excellent Doom-like experience. Go. I love explosions. Explosions are the love language that I whisper softly to super mutants as they wander the Commonwealth. They're the way I kiss raiders goodnight after a long day of scavenging. They're how I express my wonder at the megafauna of the marshes. God, she's just so beautiful. And this first mod is gonna make busting out those love explosions incredibly satisfying. The anti-air launcher from the 6th Messenger is available for both PC and Xbox. This mod adds a peculiar missile launcher to Fallout 4 in that it's a multi-barreled missile or rocket launcher meant mainly for flying enemies and aircraft. This weapon features some customizations, but I found these large, girthy barrels to be most impressive.
Oh my.
You can configure this weapon to fit anywhere from 2 to 3 to, holy shit, 12 barrels, what the fuck? Also of note is the fire and forget barrels that you can attach for sticky fun. You could be aiming in a completely different direction and still hit all of your shots as long as your target isn't taking cover. Of course, this is a perfect weapon for power armor enthusiasts as well, since it looks pretty good with a full suit, and the whole package just feels like it's begging to be handled by a Tin Man who's too amped on jet to die. Oh my god, finally, it's a DAC entry that isn't a weapon mod. This is the Minuteman outfit pack from Degenerate DAC. This pack is available for PC and Xbox and contains just over 24 vanilla-friendly pieces of clothing and armor, all of them level list injected and made to be compatible with any Minuteman mod that you may be running. Although a large portion of the pack is military apparel, civilian pieces like the Diplomat outfit give us enough variety to keep this from being a one-trick pony. The armor values will differ between pieces based on their design and intended purpose, so be aware of that before testing it with a face-tanked mini-nuke. This mod kind of reminds me of the Vault-Tec armor mashup we covered a few months back, in the sense that it does the same thing for the Minutemen as the mashup did for Vault-Tec. It flavorfully expands on in-game options while staying distinctly within the bounds of the lore. My favorite thing about this pack is probably the fact that it's so seamless with the vanilla game. The outfits contain these little details that all sorta add up, breathing new life into an overly familiar faction. Plus, the outfits count as Under Armour apparel, so in the late game, you can fit armor pieces over top of certain body parts where it makes logical sense to do so. Honestly though, a universal armor over clothing system should have just been a vanilla launch feature, but alas, a lot of things that made sense simply never made it into the final game. And here's an example. When you first started playing Fallout 4, did you ever have that moment where you found a tool and thought, man, that would go hard with the raiders? only to pick it up and find it in your junk tab with absolutely no utility as a weapon? Well, I guess this upset Degenerate Dak as well, because he said, screw this, I'm gonna wrench it up a notch because now it's hammer time. I'm sorry, he didn't actually say that. The Tool Pack Garage Melee Weapons is on both PC and Xbox, and it gives us 3 base tools to use and customize as we see fit. This weapon pack is built around the idea of makeshift garage weapons, so the attachments will reflect exactly that. Yes, the electric hammer is a hammer covered in some copper wire and conductors, the screwdriver shiv has a couple of sharp metal pieces screwed to it, and the disarming wrench is a wrench with a massive hook bolted to the center. As it turns out, a giant hook is extremely effective for disarming enemies. These can get very silly very quickly, and I love the aesthetic changes that come with modifying and upgrading these weapons. They're meant to be proper early game melee weapons, with the hammer and screwdriver spawning in at level 3 and the wrench at level 5, although with attachments they can probably take you well into the mid game. Time for you to get that hard hat on and fix the Commonwealth's problems one swing at a time. And the submachine gun is one of them, actually. I've got some serious beef with this thing. It's kind of weird looking, its proportions feel off, it has a half-stock mod for some fucking reason. Never mind my gun autism though, because at least we got a good replacement in the 45 Auto SMG. This mod comes from Robbie the Kid, and it's for PC only, but it adds a beautiful Thompson SMG as seen in the Honest Hearts DLC for New Vegas. Though the gun is nice, the best part is that this mod actually replaces all of the vanilla submachine guns in the game, including the unique variants like the Silver Shroud submachine gun. So instead of falling into the same pitfall as many other Thompson mods out there, it'll keep your immersion by inserting itself naturally within the game world. I could speak at length about why I think this is a good thing, but to keep it short, I don't like the vanilla submachine gun, and in general the replacement from the 45 Auto SMG brings so much more to the table. Sometimes you just want to take your grandpa's old war gun and trick it out with some dumb Bubba shit, and you know what? That's okay. It's a lot of fun deciding how you get to take out the trash, and Sidearms of the Wasteland is, thankfully, all about options. Similar to their previous output of Revolvers of the Wasteland and That Gun of the Wasteland, both of which we've covered before, Sidearms is a new mod for PC and Xbox that adds 6 base pistols, which all contain extensive customization trees that you can mix and match into whatever configuration your heart desires. Actually, I believe there's like around 120 attachments or something across all the different weapons. There's a Robocop pistol. Oh, that looks so sick. The classic N99 from Fallout 3 in New Vegas. The SOCOM from Metal Gear Solid. Colonel. And so many more combinations that are currently escaping me. The weapons also feature custom animations, and a plasma and a laser pistol for those energy weapon enthusiasts. So there's a little something for everyone in this mod. And true to any Gecko in a Can mod, these attachments get put to really good use. Mainly that's due to the way this mod balances the weapons in the workbench. Basically, the receivers are really just cosmetic pieces for the weapons, while the rest of the attachments add up to a greater sum of damage or effect. I can't really say which one of these is my ride or die yet, since there's just so many to enjoy, but I will say that having this installed has been a net positive for my game experience just based on the selection alone. It's just a fun collection of little blasters to roll around the Commonwealth with, you know, eliminating enemies all sneaky like. If you need a big blaster instead, then I recommend the biggest iron of them all. The 4-gauge shotgun from the 6th Messenger, once again, is available for PC and Xbox and puts a big-ass shotgun in the game. In real life, 4-bore rifles were used to hunt dangerous game throughout Africa during the age of colonization, and this gun reflects that history by having 2 massive fuck-off barrels, a lot of power, and ammo customization to adapt to any situation as required by your prey. One curious thing about the customization here is that there's an option to fire both barrels at once if you feel like doing so. Also notable is the presence of enemy-specific ammo types like the Pulse Slug ammo, which deals extra damage and effects to mechanical targets like synths or robots. Of course, you might instead choose to go for the Dragon's Breath, which is definitely both a stylish and practical choice, or maybe just good old buckshot. But in any case, you'll have so much fun tearing straight through enemies of all types, you may forget to check what the quest you're on actually wants you to do. No, it has nothing to do with slamming Psycho and gibbing raiders. Get help. Active Quest HUD will help you by displaying your active quests in a box to the side of the screen, much like 76 does with its quests. The difference to 76, however, is that this heads-up display is fully customizable with the mod configuration menu, so you can change color, size, and the dimensions of the layout from within the game. I know this seems small, but it's in the same vein as wheel menu from my beginner mods video, in that it helps you access information without needing to break your immersion by going into your Pip-Boy. Immersion is stupidly important in this game, and it's even better when a mod provides that. Quick question. You a freak by any chance? I ask because this might be the perfect mod for you. Vault-Tec Freaks adds a new group of enemies to 17 locations within the Commonwealth, and these freaks are packing. The lore behind these guys is basically that a cult has emerged within the Commonwealth surrounding Vault-Tec and their iconic mascot, the Vault Boy. Now they show their membership to this cult by wearing these Vault suits and these demented Vault Boy masks that effectively make them look like lethal bobbleheads. However, if you manage to kill a few and grab their masks, you'll get to collect a sweet set of horror-themed Vault Boy masks for yourself. Love me some collectibles, so having different masks was an instant bonus for me. Now, funny enough, sometimes if two groups of freaks come into close contact with one another, they'll actually ignore you and start fighting each other instead. Well, this is what's known as a freak-off, and usually it's a lot more fun to watch than it is to participate in, but just be glad baby oil doesn't exist in post-nuclear Boston. The best part of this mod is just questing normally, and they'll appear by complete surprise in so many places in the Commonwealth, you're never going to miss them. So after a hard day of questing, it figures that the Commonwealth's boogeyman needs a place to post his ass up for the night, right? Settlement Innkeeper is a mod strictly for PC that adds a new vendor table and some locked beds so you can finally start paying your way in your settlements. The mod is pretty easy to use, just build an innkeeper counter and a matching locked bed from the same menu and assign a settler to the table. After this, you can just walk up to the innkeeper like,
"What's up with that vanilla face?"
interact with the menu that comes up and reserve a suite. You'll find that the locked bed is now available for you to sleep in for the next 24 hours, and after that 24 hours is up, the bed gets locked out again. There are some additional options like storing your gear with the innkeeper, which I found to be more novel than just sticking everything in a chest and forgetting about it. You can also ask what the rates are for the rooms and how morale has been in the settlement. However, the biggest benefit of this mod was the excuse to build a nice little hotel room I could visit as an alternative player home. I mean, from a roleplay standpoint, right, this mod has a ton of utility. If you're building a thriving wasteland village, that place likely has shops and vendors and thus a local economy. I mean, your settlement is your settlement. It's not just any random dungeon that you can stumble into, steal shit from, and then get killed by an otherworldly creature in, is it? Right, maybe not. However, Blue Hills Research Facility is that kind of place, and it's a new horror quest mod that's available for PC and Xbox. Inspired by games like Alien Isolation, it features a sprawling underground dungeon, a deep immersive lore, and storyline that's presented out of order for you to discover. This mod's biggest strengths are its story pacing and its environmental storytelling. Knowing how hard these guys were to fight— come on, die! No, f*** you. This doesn't fill me with confidence. Splatters and skeletons reveal the sight of self-deletes. Oh, this guy shot himself. Look at that. Where smears on floors and beds tell a darker tale of a violent fate that made self-deleting look better by comparison. As I normally do when I talk about these quest mods, I'm not going to spoil anything about it because it really is worth playing. Don't even watch my live stream actually, unless you're on PlayStation or something, but otherwise you should really play it. This mod took me 3 hours to play through and I was very thorough with my exploration. I didn't want to drink that water, but here we are. Which wasn't very hard for me to do considering every door opened a new possibility to uncover the truth, and the pacing kept me on the edge of my seat the whole time. Like when I'm about to announce the best mod of the month. Here's the runner-ups for October. Morvox the Destroyer is a mod that adds 3 massive tanky Deathclaws to the Commonwealth as super hard boss encounters. I fought the one in the glowing sea and it took a whole hell of a lot of firepower to kill him. I always felt Fallout 4 needs more true boss encounters just like this, and the gigantic angry lizard definitely seemed to fit the bill here. Next, the Marine Shotgun from Degenerate DAC on both PC and Xbox adds a burst fire shotgun to Fallout 4 and a whole host of customization to go with it. You can equip different ammo types like the pulse slugs I mentioned earlier or Dragon's Breath, and overall it's a great weapon. The reason it's in runner-ups and not in the best of category is because, I shit you not, October was mostly going to be weapons until like the 28th. And DAC has already released 2 other mods that I feel were a little bit more impactful this month anyway. And the winner for the best mod of the month is actually a really close call. See, Blue Hills Research Facility is a fantastic quest mod and dungeon mod with a lot going for it.
It's an experience that I think everyone should have. That's how much I enjoyed my time with it. However, Minutemen Outfit Pack fills a niche that I just haven't seen filled in such a vanilla-friendly way before, and it fleshes out one of my favorite factions in all of Fallout lore. It's a tough decision, but I think I'm gonna... Just kidding. I'm not gonna decide shit. You decide! That's right, comment down below for which one you think deserves it. I'll name the winner in the next Best Mods of the Month video. If you've been playing for a while now, it's no secret that Fallout 4's performance is rough in some areas, particularly in downtown Boston. I mean, it's kind of fitting for the hardest hood this side of 8 Mile, so at least there's that. One of my favorite concrete examples in the area is between Good Neighbor and the Mass Fusion building, where you can lose as many as 10 to 20 frames just by going for a brisk jog. Yes, I am running an ENB, but it's the most lightweight ENB possible, and this phenomenon happens on vanilla anyway. Of course, none of this involves the performance impact that comes with visual effects during combat, which includes the frustration of trying to hit things while your frames are skipping harder than your dad's scratched Boy George CD. However, frame generation by Doodlem fixes a lot of those performance issues. Oh my god. This is actually insane. I can't believe I'm getting this. I pretty much turned this mod on and just didn't turn it off like ever. Most of the footage in this video, in fact, will be with frame generation enabled, so keep that in mind as you're watching. With frame generation installed, not only did I hit a consistent frame rate moving along the same course and further, even outside Mass Fusion, I'm not getting any frame drop. My frame rate was finally maxing out on my monitor's refresh rate. I can't really overstate how nice it is to finally play Fallout 4 without any sort of hiccups whatsoever. Sadly, this fix is on PC only, so no Xbox and definitely no PlayStation. And while we're talking PC only fixes, Diamond City is at least 5 years out of date with everyone's gaming rigs. As a result, the great green jewel of the Commonwealth really just feels like the dull green cesspool instead. I mean, it was always meant to look shitty, but that's especially true now that I can see it in 75 frames per second. Well, Bailey men decided to do something about it with Diamond City Polished Diamond. This mod is an expansive overhaul of Diamond City that doesn't just add, but polishes that great green jewel into something truly spectacular. In the vanilla city, the only part of the stadium that's actually utilized for building is the playing field, a small section of the bleachers for wealthy residents, and box seats are converted into the mayor's office. The rest of the bleachers are left completely empty, and there's a ton of vertical space that simply doesn't get used. It's just sort of underwhelming when you realize that the center of commerce and society in the Commonwealth is this sad little shanty town. It's no wonder the Commonwealth is a hellscape of violent drug fiends, that's me by the way, and murderous cutthroats, that's also me by the way. With Polished Diamond installed, this space is used cleverly and efficiently to fill out these empty areas. Lonely concrete bleachers now play host to corrugated metal row houses, the pond where Sheng's water purifier once stood has been filled in, and instead an industrial section has been placed there. Brahmin roam a massive pen just outside the brand new Cappy's Diner, lending a sense of sustainability to the city's food supply. While Polished Diamond is a great cosmetic overhaul, the mod is currently a work in progress. I walked around trying to open doors for a bit and couldn't gain access to anything, so safe to say that for now it's just a visual expansion. However, Bailey Men has pledged themselves to eventually keep filling this overhaul out with interiors and maybe even quests if we're good boys and girls this Christmas, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on. But Diamond City isn't the only spot getting an overhaul, since Corvega Assembly Plant also got some serious love this month. True to its name, it's long, it's hard, it's ready to give you a headache and make you scream. For PC only, it's the oppressive and extended Corvega Assembly Plant. In the vanilla game, the Corvega plant is one of my favorite shooting galleries in the entire Commonwealth, and it's always more than happy to deliver a warm supply of fresh bodies to penetrate. Wait, no, I didn't mean it like that. I mean raiders to shoot. There's one problem. Corvega is a bit predictable, and at this point, I'm pretty sure I can just speedrun the entire dungeon, but the oppressive and extended Corvega Assembly Plant makes some changes that make shooting through Corvega feel less like an exercise in memorization and more like a fresh take on an old favorite. In particular, my favorite parts were the edits made to the exterior, as even small additions like flaming trash bins and raiders warming their hands on them gives the POI so much more life than it had before. Although it's not just aesthetics, the mod also raises the difficulty of encounters around and inside the plant as well. Safe to say, this is for one of two kind of people. Either you're a person person with a ton of modded weapons that are poorly balanced for the game, or you're a straight up freak that loves getting your ass beat. Well, if you're the former, I've got good news. The enemies are more likely to spawn with weapon mods in this location now, so there's a good chance that lazy COD port is coming right back to haunt you. There's just one caveat to this whole mod, and that's the fact that it doesn't pull punches just because you're courting 10 Pine Bluffs. When you do attempt it, you should at least use explosion reactions to immerse yourself in the experience. Explosion reactions is a little mod from Stentorius for PC only that provides a great immersive animation for combat. Basically, this mod plays an animation whenever your character is hit with explosives. Mines, grenades, even turrets exploding will trigger an animation on hit. But that's the key here. You need to get hit by the explosion for it to trigger. In my opinion, that actually works better for immersion, because if you don't gauge the area of effect properly, it'll pop up as a nice surprise in the middle of a firefight. This beautiful energy sword is named the Institute Laser Sword, and it comes from Mar Mobius for both PC and Xbox. Taking obvious design cues from the Institute's energy guns, this laser sword bears the same sci-fi design, even including a cosmetic fusion cell in the hilt to imply that there's a power source for the blade. It comes with a few different customization options, including the choice in whether you want a longer blade or a shorter blade, or hell, even if you'd like multiple thinner blades to give McDonough a closer shave.
I've had enough of this, Piper.
That may not seem like a whole lot of options, but what it lacks in customization it makes up for in fun and efficient melee combat. The thing hits pretty hard, and the sounds it makes produce just enough dopamine that I never want to stop using it. Seriously, I played with this thing a lot longer than I thought I would. That's what she said. Nothing beats the thrill of up close and personal combat, even if that means face-tanking bullets until you can slide on the ops. However, that part is normally much easier if you're wearing a good set of armor, like the Ranger Power Armor from Princess Ares. This gorgeous suit of power armor for both PC and Xbox is inspired by the power armor that can be seen in the trailer for Fallout Season 2. It strikes this perfect balance between NCR Ranger and Walking Tank, and it's honestly a little shocking that this is the first time I'm seeing something like this for the game. The suit has similar stats to the T-51, so you can expect about the same degree of protection. However, where this mod really shines is in its customizations. Taxidermied Yao Guai pauldrons, Brahmin skulls, bandoliers, and chains make up the options here. As you can tell, I've already picked my favorites, and these new attachments come with impactful boosts that'll augment your playstyle. Oh, you can even change the color of your helmet lenses. That is tight as fuck. I can't really think of a single power armor mod with as much customizability or generally that's even as interesting to me as this one. It almost feels like it was shipped out of the Mojave on Crimson Caravan Prime, like that's how natural it feels. Kinda like the Fallout 4 New Vegas single shotgun. Back from the Mojave in style is the Fallout 4 New Vegas single shotgun and Alof's repeater for PC only. This piece comes from Cadaver and Shimsham, and it includes completely new animations, muzzle effects, textures, and models that make this weapon fit as seamlessly into the Commonwealth as buckshot through Raider armor. Staying true to its roots, this is designed to be an early game weapon, and likewise, it'll be found anywhere you could find a double barrel shotgun. Despite being early game and actually only having half the barrels of the game's worst shotgun, its reload speed and damage output are actually good enough to completely eclipse the double barrel as a viable choice entirely. But let's not forget the Alof's repeater either, which is a reloading mechanism close to a century old at this point. While also being a real-life piece of technology, this is a unique model to the single shotgun, so you can't just stick it on at a weapons workbench, but you can find these on legendary enemies. How it works is basically the weird pipe next to the barrel takes a single barrel break action shotgun and gives it an external magazine with 4 extra shells, automatically reloading the barrel slot with every break of the barrel. The animations are super smooth for this. I don't think Todd intended us to give backshots to raiders as quickly as this, but fuck it, just roll with it. And yet another early game weapon that can extend into the mid game, the 32 machine pistol by Degenerate Dak, comes on both PC and Xbox and brings the iconic VZ61 Scorpion to the Commonwealth. As usual with a DAC weapon, this machine pistol brings many new attachments, custom-made everything, a gun that looks aesthetic no matter what you do to it. I'm not gonna lie to you, this is probably my favorite DAC weapon so far. This thing is blazing fast. With the right attachments, you could blink and it's empty. As a consequence of this, despite being balanced for early game, hitting your shots will make this feel more powerful than it actually is. It just sprays and sprays and sprays. I decided to make 3 different variants of this gun, and I found that even with the long range setup, the recoil does get hard to control when you're at range. even though I still dominated at close range with all 3 setups. This thing is just never bad if you're at all within 20 meters of your target. I think my favorite element of the 32 machine pistol is the scrap furniture options for the stock and the handle. It's little cosmetic choices like this that help weapon mods feel natural to Fallout 4. And Dak must have had a lot of scrap left over when he made it, because he also made an entire rifle out of it. This is the makeshift scout rifle for both PC and Xbox, obviously from Degenerate Dak. It's effectively a pipe rifle, as pipe rifles should have been. Just like a vanilla pipe rifle, it has some really good modularity that leverages the bucket load of attachments it comes with. 3 options in receiver means that you can make this a traditional bolt action rifle or a straight pull bolt action rifle, which actually, that's the first time I've ever seen that in a Fallout game. Oh right, and I did say there was a 3rd option, didn't I? Yeah, it's just semi-automatic. You can just turn this thing into a semi-automatic banger that pumps powerful rounds through enemies, like Activision pumps out bad Call of Duty games. It's good at all of these applications, but to be honest, I highly preferred the gimmick of running around with a pistol-sized sniper and quick-scoping enemies. Plus, in terms of raw power, bolt action simply could not beat the semi-automatic receiver. But nevertheless, it'll fill all your early game needs and any target shooting you might do with the new moving target practice mod from Itchy Treasure Sack. Finally, Preston can catch a break from being my test dummy. Yo, come here, Preston. Sack has been featured on the channel before for the bowling mod, which you can check out in the annotation on the screen, but their newest mod for PC only adds 13 objects, 4 moving targets, and 1 hanging target. There's also a whole range of new decorations you can build to give your settlement's new firing range a more personal touch. I obviously got pretty excited about building a firing range, so I immediately got to work. I will say you probably want to use place anywhere since the targets can be kind of difficult to place. But once you have them placed, what you need to do is walk up to the moving targets and activate them to start them. My firing range wasn't really all that well made, but I also vastly underestimated the range of motion for the targets, so I'm just going to work with what I've got. Despite any difficulties my jet addiction may have caused during its design, I still had a lot of fun with this mod because it tracks how many good hits you make on any target in the message box on the screen. Even just this counter function alone elevates the experience, and now you get the option of moving targets too, which just completes it all for me. Now, while you throw together your range, you'll want to partake in the time-honored tradition of listening to the radio while building shit. Pipboy Valve Mod is the perfect excuse to listen to Travis's anxious ramblings between songs. Available only for PC, what this mod does is emulate the warmth and imperfections that are involved with tube valve audio technology. I'm not going to get into how this warmth is produced, you can look that up on your own time. So there isn't really any footage I can show for this, so I'm just going to shut the fuck up for a hot minute and I'm going to let you hear the difference.
Here's the thing. A sort of note. Here's the thing. A sort of note. I guess from a sponsor here. From a sponsor here in Diamond City, and I'll just read it. In Diamond City, and I'll just read it.
I know it might seem subtle, but for anyone who knows what you're supposed to listen for, you can definitely hear it. It sounds great, and it's probably never coming off my mod list. It also works on custom radio stations, such as the Misery Island radio station from the titular mod. But hold the fuck up for a second. Misery Island isn't just a radio station. Oh no. It's an all-encompassing, game-expanding masterpiece of a new world space mod from the dynamic duo 10 Hats and Shredda 4. If you've ever played Boon Island or watched my Boon Island video, then you'll know what to expect from these two. This is the long-awaited second installment to the Isles of New England series that the pair started with Boon Island. For PC only, this island brings you the following: a seaplane, a skill check to repair an eyebot, a bad case of the crabs, brand new enemies who all want a piece of that ass, all draped over the ruins of a tourist resort languishing in the irradiated mist of the Atlantic Ocean. Plus, there are also a number of quests, new weapons, and a well-written main story for you to sink your teeth into. But make no mistake, this mod is difficult. Holy shit, no, I got my shit pushed in. Wow. Just like Boon Island, Misery Island is based on its real-world counterpart, and it has been faithfully recreated to the upper limits of the creation kit. Also, just like Boon Island, I will be giving it its own video, and that video will be part exploring the mod and part historical documentary about its real-life inspiration. I'm really excited to make the video, but in the meantime, just know that Misery Island is some seriously good shit. The exploration doesn't stop when you return to the Commonwealth, though, because now Glitch Finder has some new locations for you to check out on PC and Xbox. Bunker Stories is a mod that adds 6 new interior locations rich with environmental storytelling about the final days of those who couldn't escape the bombs. This mod and its content comments were actually pretty touching in many ways. Each bunker is meticulously detailed to tell that one person's specific story, what they had with them, and maybe why they met their end to begin with. You'll come across the harrowing messages of a mind driven mad by shock and isolation, a boat that provided little protection against the shockwave of the blast, and a trailer that proved to be a worse gamble than being in the open. I think this mod reaffirms one of my favorite things about Fallout in general, and perhaps Fallout 4 in specific. Too often, Fallout 4's main story gets a lot of heat. Perhaps this is deserved since it doesn't feel terribly compelling even on a first playthrough. But the stories you glean just by seeing an old skeleton in a bathroom stall, or in a bed surrounded by various items, are impactful, almost enough to make up for a lack of free play value in the main quest, because the replay value is in the world that you explore. These bunkers and other mods like this add so much to the world of stories that you get to walk through. Although running instead of walking is what's up next, as in here are the runner-ups for November of 2025. Mage Abilities actually comes from a friend of the channel by the name of Natty. Now Natty and I have something extremely special planned for you all this month, so keep your eyes open and your ears peeled. Not like with a potato peeler or anything, but also open, I guess. Anyway, Mage Abilities adds several new spells to the game, taking the back-end form of grenades or weapons where it makes sense, but made to look immersive to the end of casting spells. It's pretty good fun to use, honestly, but having to pull it from the console rather than having a real-world implementation means that it goes on runner-ups instead of part of the best. Still, very fun mod, and I think you should try it if you can. Soviet Combat Rifle is another cannon weapon, joining us from Robbie the Kid, who made last month's Thompson SMG overhaul. This weapon is pretty good if you're into AKs, and it has a fair amount of customization. It simply lost out to the other weapon entries this month that I felt all had something a little more significant to them. And finally, the moment you've been waiting for, the mod of the month is... You decide! That's right, I enjoyed the voting process from last video so much that I decided to do this at least one more time in 2025. Pick 3 mods from this video for your favorite mod right now in the comments, and I'll tally the votes up and announce the winner in the next Best Mods of the Month video. If you didn't already catch it at the beginning of the video, Blue Hills Research Facility won Best Mod for October 2025. Fantastic quest mod and dungeon design, you should play it for sure. Snow Now Overwhelms Winter is a mod for PC only that comes from W. This mod adds a deep layer of snow all over the Commonwealth. Every area from the North Woods to the Boston Ruins, all the way to the Glowing Sea, will be blanketed with a thick layer of the white stuff. This snow has been modeled directly off Fallout 4's landscape data, but even cooler is the attention W paid to details like leaving covered and roofed areas free of any snow, or the fact that you and other NPCs leave footprints in the snow as you travel through it. But you know, while the snow is really cool, my favorite part about this mod is that it accurately recreates the conditions for seasonal depression. God, I fucking hate my life. It also includes new snowy and winter weathers that will give a true-to-life feeling to this new landscape, where you'll be forced to remember that you live in a place where the air hurts your face. Overall, this is a fantastic entry, and I really love when we get a radically changed Commonwealth like this, especially when it makes me contemplate my reason to be. The Glowing Sea is one of the most memorable areas in any game for me, mainly for how well the landscape works with the weather to convey a nearly otherworldly place. But there's something missing, and I didn't know what it was until I tried Glowing Sea Grass from a Nom Nom. This mod for PC and Xbox adds a lot more low vegetation to the Glowing Sea, and this grass goes a long way to expanding the spirit of what makes the Glowing Sea so great. Some of you might be wondering how this differs from any of the other grass overhauls Fallout 4 already has. That's a valid question, and the answer is that this grass mod is made entirely from modified vanilla assets. This means that it'll fit extremely well in Vanilla Plus and lore-friendly mod lists, and I gotta say, for one, I really appreciate the commitment to the vanilla aesthetic here. This provides the perfect backdrop for any big game hunting that you might want to do while you're out there. And one good reason to do some big game hunting is Creatures Drop Junk. Creatures Drop Junk is a new mod from BP42S, who is the same creator that gave us the Ghoulification creation. This mod is for PC only, and it does one very simple thing. It makes big game hunting, boss fights, and otherwise very hard enemies more rewarding to fight. This is actually inspired by Fallout 76, where killing tough enemies often yields a few rare components. Creatures Drop Junk adds a select pool of loot per tough creature, including but not limited to behemoths,
death claws, fog crawlers, sentry bots, sentry bots, coursers, and more. Pretty much any big, dangerous, meaty, or chunky creature is gonna drop you some rare loot when you kill them. There's a hard limit on how much of each component can be dropped at one time, and the quantity range goes from 0 to 5 depending on the rarity and the value of the component. I wasn't expecting this to feel so impactful, but this mod made tough enemies feel extremely rewarding to hunt, since the rewards for doing so are just so sweet. Scrap As You Go is a mod for PC only from Yoyoma 3010, and it does pretty much what it says on the tin. Instead of hauling all this random junk, telephones, fans, glass bottles, and whatever random crap some dead guy left in a toilet 2 centuries ago, you can break this junk down for just its components without ever going to a workbench. The mod works like this. You crouch while you're outside of combat, you walk up to a container, a dead guy, or even a junk item out in the open, and you press the scrap button as displayed on your HUD. Your character starts caressing the air with their hands. This is normally ancient blood magic meant to summon the evil one, but for our purposes, this is going to dismantle whatever item we happen to be aiming at. There are 2 huge things that make this mod fantastic. Number 1 is the fact that you can scrap anything with it for components. It's not just junk. You can also scrap armor, clothing, weapons, and even legendary items that you can't normally scrap. Second thing that's great about this mod is that you'll get over-cucumbered a lot less when you're using it. Junk items weigh a lot more than the components that you can pull from them, so stripping them for components out in the field means more components fit in the same space. Strength and Steel is a Brotherhood of Steel themed T60 overhaul from Princess Aries. It's available for both PC and Xbox, and the mod adds several new modular attachments for the T60 power armor the Brotherhood of Steel seems to be so fond of. Maybe they were overcompensating before, but now they definitely are, since this mod gives the faction some serious drip. The implementation is built around the idea that Brotherhood NPCs will adorn their power armor according to rank, since the idea is that higher ranks of Brotherhood soldiers would have greater freedom in how their suit looks. One quick example of this is Paladin Dance, who can't seem to kill ghouls to save his life, but hell does he ever design a killer suit. Look and fucking fly, Dance. Needless to say, you can also build these same attachments for your own power armor, and the full range of available options is pretty impressive. I settled on a design I liked pretty quickly, and I was pleased to see a lot of things from Ares' previous mods returning. Princess Ares has been going hard with power armor mods for a while now, and this is the culmination of at least a few great mods worth of practice. And now the moment you've been waiting for, a mod that has been requested time and again, Degenerate Dak has finally made a service rifle mod. This mod includes 2 general variants, a service rifle and an assault carbine. The rifles themselves are everything you'd expect from a service rifle made by Dak's team. They're well animated, well textured, well modeled, well endowed.
Oh my!
With attachments, of course. The service rifle is a single fire only, and the assault carbine is fully auto. There are 3 unique variants. The first one is a Payday reference, and it can be found in a vault with some bank robbers who had terrible timing. Fucking dumbasses. This unique has a chance to drop pre-war money whenever you kill an enemy. The second is a Christmas gift you can get from Arturo in Diamond City, and it does 30% more damage if you shoot it while you're drunk on Bob Robb's best. The final unique, and my personal favorite, is Unfortunate Son, a weapon found in an extremely hard dungeon behind Fort Hagen. Unlike any of the other rifles, it's a 3-round burst and it inflicts stacking poison damage. This is definitely my favorite for many reasons. It feels incredibly powerful, and the look of it just screams Full Metal Jacket, which is one of my favorite movies. Anyways, this is hands down the most highly anticipated weapon mod I think I've ever heard of, and they really knocked it out the park with this one because it has everything. Absolutely phenomenal, guys. Great job.
Oh man, check out that thing, man. What do you want to do with it?
Now for all you boomers out there, this weapon mod is for you. The Commando Laser from J-Cruise 05 is a new weapon mod for PC only, and it adds a weapon from the G.I. Joe cartoon to Fallout 4. Although it comes from a different IP altogether,
Pork chop sandwiches! Oh shit! Get the fuck out of here!
the lore explanation is that Watts was developing this weapon just before the bombs fell, which is why you'll find a delivery van full of these rifles north of the Electrical Hobbyists Club. A really cool thing about this mod is the implementation. You can decide what faction is going to end up with these rifles, and in exchange for your choice, you get to access one of several attachments you'll be able to craft for it. I actually really like this, since it makes use of your player agency for both a reward and a possible punishment. So while it's not placed on NPCs yet, now you know it's placed in the world,
And knowing is half the battle.
The Commando Laser is noticeably stronger than the base game laser rifle, and it also has many attachments regardless of your choice at the van, so it's not like you're locking yourself out of the bulk of the content with your choice or anything. And overall, while using this, you will probably forget that other laser weapons exist because it is just so much fun to use.
Game over, yeah!
Time for the last entry on this list. It's Lamplighter from J Hard Game. This mod adds 9 usable lanterns to Fallout 4. Each lantern has been custom made and modeled to reflect a theme or a faction from the game. These lanterns are also weapons, which means 2 things. 1, you can carry them with you through the game world as an alternative light source. And 2, you can hit stuff with them. As for where you can find them, J Harden has gone to extreme lengths by replacing every single lantern in the game world with these usable lanterns. Alternatively, you can also craft the lanterns at a chemistry bench, but more exciting than that is the fact that you'll be able to build these lanterns in settlements too. As a weapon, it's pretty decent as well. I really enjoy just walking around at night with this mod since all the different lanterns are just so unique, and each one has its own shade of lighting, so you can either pick the spooky orange of the jack-o'-lantern or the bright blue of the Institute lantern. I can't believe it took this long for us to have a usable lantern mod, but I'm really happy we at least got it. So if this is something you've always wanted, I suggest you get it. It's pretty good. And that's it for the best mods of 2025. All the mod links are in the description for either PC or Xbox if they're available, and for the last time, whether you started watching at the beginning of the year or sometime in the middle or end, thank you for watching. Join the Discord for instant notifications when I go live or post a video next, link is in the description, and special thanks to patrons and channel members on screen. Your generosity makes Snailo XD possible. Until next time, I'm Snail, I'll see you dudes later, and peace guys, I'm out.